Hello and welcome to this episode of Behind the Curtain. I am your host, Gio Battaglia. So excited for today's episode. Our guest, we are going outside the News 8 studios once again over to OFC Creations Theater in Brighton, where Elaine Hendrix, you may recognize her from The Parent Trap or most recently as a finalist on Dancing with the Stars, is getting ready to take on a new role as the lead in OFC's production of Hello, Dolly. I had the chance to sit one-on-one with Elaine to talk about how that's going and how this past year has been. Here is my interview with Elaine Hendrix. So talking about Hello, Dolly in Rochester here for this season, talk a little bit about how this came to be, you coming to OFC.
Well, they called my agent like last April and said, would Elaine be interested in coming up to do Hello, Dolly? And I just thought that was so interesting. I just thought it was so random. But I also think it's quite fitting because I've been very lucky to do a lot of iconic roles throughout my career, and Dolly is certainly right up there among them. And I began in theater, and so all of it just kind of made sense to me. It's not often that I get to actually do a full run of something because, film and television takes up so much of my time, thankfully. So I'm always grateful when I can tread the boards.
And with having that multifaceted career, like you just said, film, television, reality competition we just saw you in, what feels most creatively fulfilling in this moment of your career?
Yeah, right now it is the live performing. It was the thing that I loved most about Dancing with the Stars was, after all the hard work, getting out there in front of the live audience and knowing that it was live in front of millions was both terrifying and exhilarating. And that's the thing that I do love about live performance, is that exchange with the audience. I give to them, they give back to me, and we create this beautiful energy together. So for me, you can't really beat it.
Nice. I'm excited to talk more about Dancing with the Stars, but back to Dolly. She's often described as a force of nature. Yeah. So what was your first kind of instinctive connection to her when this role came your way?
Dolly is a force of nature, and I think I've built an entire career on roles that are women who are forces of nature in one way or another. So I feel like I fit right into Dolly's skin quite easily. And the other thing about Dolly is that, well, a few things, because the show involves a lot of pageantry, which is some of the fun of it. But when you really dig underneath it, it's a show about overcoming grief and finding that spark of joy in your life again after you've gone through immense loss. And I think that is a message that people can relate to these days. I think the world is tending to feel quite heavy right now. And so I think Dolly can bring a spark of joy that everyone needs.
Nice, I like that. And this show has been played by legends. You're joining the ranks of those. How do you honor that history while still finding a version of Dolly that is Elaine Hendrix?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So, when you're stepping into a role that has already been done before, that is the challenge of what do you keep and what do you make your own. And I've listened and seen video of pretty much every version of Dolly that I could find. And I feel like she's in my wheelhouse just naturally with those women. Like, as far as archetypes go, that we all are kind of cut from the same cloth. But then it's just in the little details, the little looks, the little movements that everybody brings their own uniqueness to it. And so for me, it's just simply doing what I feel like I do best, what I do naturally. And that will take care of her being my version.
And it's joyful on the surface, but as you said, there's loss, reinvention, resilience underneath. What do you think modern audiences sometimes overlook about this story? I know you said you hope that they carry. But.
So I think one of the mistakes that people can take away from Dolly is that she's just surface level, that it's just about getting people to have fun and fall in love, that it's so much deeper than that. Dolly on one hand is this whirling dervish bringing all this energy around her, but she's doing it from a very deep place of loss. And that comes out, and that's one of the things that I hope to bring with my Dolly, are the soft moments and the vulnerable moments, particularly with the love of her life that she lost long before she felt she should. So, yeah.
And as you were talking about the joy of returning to live theater, what is it about that performing for a live audience that still feels irreplaceable?
You know, I think we all really learned during the pandemic that technology can only get us so far. You know, that we still, oh, I could get emotional, that we still crave human connection, human touch, human interaction. You know, we can visit with people over Zoom, and that's a wonderful substitution, but it's a substitution nonetheless. And so being with other people and getting that one-on-one time with them, or the group time together, and having my energy affect your energy, affect my energy. You know, I think that's what humans are built for. That's what theater is built for.
Absolutely. And you had to have seen that kind of come in almost a cult-like form with Dancing with the Stars, with the voting, and seeing audiences each week and connecting with fans. Had to be something special for sure.
Oh, there will be nothing like, there will never be anything like Dancing with the Stars. That is just a magic unto itself, and something that I couldn't have predicted how incredible it was, the impact it made on me, on others, and that's just really something truly special. But I do believe that the essence of that magic can be captured no matter where you go in whatever theater form, in whatever performative form, because at its root, dancing is storytelling, just like plays, just like musicals. So that part stays the same.
And Dolly controls the room the way a great leading lady should. Has playing her changed the way you think about power or confidence as you started to think about this?
Boy, that's a great question. I think the whole experience of playing Dolly has affected me in what I think about leadership, because it's the role, it's the actual doing of the role, it's stepping in to do the role with other people, how I conduct myself, the professionalism I bring, and then my views on the character, and then certainly how I portray the character. And all of that affects me, just like any other role that I would. So yeah, it's not just her, but the whole experience of her.
I think fans might be curious, kind of on the same note, of how you present yourself as a confident woman, as you do, as we've seen. Fans want to know how you're doing. We saw your vulnerable physical journey on Dancing with the Stars, and you just went through, the weeks and weeks of prep. So you got to be the most fit and ready to come back and do theater. So how are you doing?
Yeah, thanks for asking. My ribs have healed. And so physically, I'm feeling fine. I'm also feeling, it's this very unique, weird place I find myself in, where, having so many endorphins pumped into my system between the dance and the whole experience of Dancing with the Stars, but also kind of being a little mentally fatigued. That show was, I'm not a big competitive person, and so that was a real journey to experience, and then the pressure of learning a dance each week and then coming in to learn Dolly. I spent weeks before arriving in Rochester working on the lines, and I'm still finding myself like, wow, this is a whole other muscle that I get to exercise. And so all of it brings pressure, but like a healthy pressure, a good, challenging pressure, but a pressure nonetheless.
And you're not straying far from being booked and busy, and also not from Western New York. We'll see you back here in Buffalo later this year for the tour.
Yeah.
How are you preparing for that? Is it kind of off to the side, or is it one of the things that you got to do while juggling a million other
Yeah, it's all, my world has expanded quite a lot recently in a lot of ways. And so I don't actually start preparing for the tour until I'm done with the show, but I literally have, I think, about a week off, and then I jump right back in, and then I'll be on the road off and on for 6 weeks. Well, actually, I'll be on the road off and on for about a month and a half. I'm just doing 2 different segments of the tour. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
Has your mindset with dancing changed as you step back into musical theater and, choreographed routines that you're going to do again and again and again?
Yeah, I began my career as a dancer. I began my career in theater, and then, as we learned on Dancing with the Stars, but as I had made public long before that, I was hit by a car and had to pivot very early in my career. So now I feel like, you know what, I'm a dancer again.
Nice. Back to the roots. Fans were also excited to see you in Freakier Friday.
Yeah.
I just watched that with my niece, and I was like, oh my God, there she is. Revisiting characters that meant a lot to them. What did it feel like to be part of that, knowing the emotional investment people bring with them when they go to watch it?
That was really fun because for a full year I held on to a secret that nobody else knew and nobody else saw coming. And I didn't know, actually, that they put me in one of the trailers. And so I was literally in my bathroom getting ready for something, and my phone just starts exploding with messages. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I'm learned, oh, a trailer came out. Oh, I'm in it.
Secrets out.
Yeah, they could have given a girl a head up about that. But I was very happy to do that. Nisha Kanatra, who directed the movie, called and said, hey, would you come make a cameo for me? And I said, sure. And then she told me what the project was, and I was like, oh, yes, absolutely. I've done 7 movies for Disney, so I always, plus, all my projects with ABC. I always love being in what I call the House of the Mouse. And Freakier Friday was just another incredible experience for me.
Staying on the little side ventures here, we just saw the article with Lisa and Walter come out, and yourself talking about being each other's soulmates. Talk a little bit about how it felt to, sit side by side with your bestie for the story.
Yeah, that was nice. Doing a cover, that was our first cover story together. And getting to sit down and do the article for the magazine, as well as, video online for them. That's fun because we got to kind of tell our full story and a lot of fun details that have happened between us in our almost 30-year friendship, which is really incredible to think about. So yeah, that's one of the positives of our business, is that we have these very, very public, very memorable, very incredible experiences that we get to share together that we'll have for the rest of our lives.
I like that.
Yeah.
Back to Dolly. Thanks for letting me talk on your side ventures there.
Sure.
Dolly believes that life begins again when you're brave enough to step forward. At this point in your life, what does stepping forward mean to you?
Stepping forward means coming out more and more as myself. That was one of the challenges, but the joys of Dancing with the Stars was that normally I'm behind a character, and that was me being fully me, and that took a little getting used to. That was I felt like a big risk for me because I didn't know how I would be received, and so I take that and I want to put more of that out into the world, just me as me, but then that also changes how I approach my characters and really being willing to bring even more of myself to these characters, especially live. I think that just makes it all the more juicy, more connected, more fun, and I'm hoping that's what audiences want to see.
Nice, for sure. And if someone comes to Hello Dolly because they know Elaine Hendrix from film or TV, what do you hope surprises them most about seeing you live on stage?
Oh, that's another good question. I hope coming to see me, and if they're coming to see me perform live because they've seen me in film and television, I hope that they walk away going, oh my gosh, it was even better in person. You know, I want them to feel inspired and joyful from whatever I can bring to them.
And then weaving that into the message of the show, when audiences leave the theater, what feeling do you hope they carry with them into the rest of their night or even their lives?
I hope seeing this does inspire people. You know, I can think back when my mom took me to see performances when I grew up, when I was young in Knoxville, Tennessee. So I grew up in a small town outside of Knoxville, Tennessee, in East Tennessee. And Knoxville was our largest city, which I feel like is somewhat comparable to Rochester. And I remember getting to see, you know, people perform, Nell Carter, Baryshnikov, you know, all these incredible performers, and that I just may not have otherwise ever had the chance to see. And that made a real impact on me. So, you know, I feel like performing artists, we're humans, but certainly artists, because we are humans intentionally. You know, we're extra human intentionally, because we study human behavior, we reflect it back, and we do so at great risk of exposing ourselves, of sharing vulnerabilities, and if you do it at the level that I do, of facing a lot of rejection. And so I just say that to say that, like, I feel that as we walk through life, you know, we're like pebbles in ponds. And when I take something like a stage that's very public, I feel like the pond just gets a little bigger, you know, and so I want the ripples that I send out to be meaningful. So that's a long-winded answer on that.
It's exactly, yes, the message that fans will take away.
Yeah.
Anything I didn't touch on that you think is worth noting?
I don't think so, other than I would say, you know, while I'm not used to this cold weather, I like it. It's a change of pace for me. It's invigorating. I would just ask and remind people to, you know, help our furry, feathered, and finned ones out in the world. Animals, dogs, cats, while they have a lot of resilience, they can't stand temperatures like this. So I'm a big voice for those who can't speak human. And so just watch out for those who might need a little extra hand right now.
Thank you so much to Elaine for sitting down with me one-on-one to talk about Hello, Dolly. It opens at OFC Creations Theater on January 29th. Tickets are available now. We have a link for those over on our website. That's rochesterfirst.com. Thank you for watching this episode of Behind the Curtain. It was such a great conversation with Elaine, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.